Last year, one of the richest men in the world paid less in taxes than a school teacher. Not because he broke the law, because the law let him. This isn't a conspiracy theory whispered in dark corners. It's accounting. It's legal. And it works so well that most people don't even know it's happening. The question isn't whether rich people avoid taxes. The question is, how are they allowed to? Here's where we need to be honest about something. When you or your parents earn money, it gets taken out of your paycheck before you even see it. Your boss sends it straight to the government. That's called a tax. It happens automatically. You don't get a choice. Most people call this normal. But here's the thing that almost nobody realizes. The richer you get, the less automatic it becomes. A person who works a regular job pays taxes on almost everything they earn. If you make $50,000 a year, you might pay $10,000 of that in taxes. That's about 20%. It feels unavoidable because it is. But a billionaire making $50 million, they might pay taxes on less than 1 million of it. That's about 2%, sometimes less. Same country, same government, same tax code, completely different math. Most people assume this is cheating. It's not. It's strategy. And the strategy isn't secret. It's just not taught in school. So most people never learn how it actually works. They just know it feels unfair. And that feeling is correct. But unfairness and illegality are not the same thing. This matters right now because wealth inequality is at levels we haven't seen since the 1920s. And a lot of that gap isn't just about earning more money. It's about keeping more of it. Understanding how this system works isn't about becoming cynical. It's about understanding the actual rules of the game we're all playing. So let's walk through exactly how it happens. Let's start with the simplest version. Imagine you're 9 years old and you run a lemonade stand. You make $100. Your mom says you have to give $20 to the city as tax, so you take home $80. That's a real tax. You earned it, you pay it, done. Now imagine you're older. You start a lemonade business. Real employees, a stand on every corner. You make $1 million a year. Your accountant sits down with you and says something that changes everything.
This changes everything.
She says, "What if you didn't earn that money?" You think she's joking, but she's not. Here's how it works. Instead of paying yourself a salary of $1 million, you pay yourself a salary of, say, $200,000. That's real income. You pay real taxes on it. Normal. But then the business makes $800,000 more dollars. And instead of sending that to you, your accountant does something interesting. She reinvests it. The business buys new equipment. It opens new locations. It pays off debt. It does all kinds of things that cost money. And every dollar spent on those things is something called a business expense. Here's the key part. Business expenses reduce the taxable income. So the business earned $1 million, but it spent $800,000 on business expenses. Now the taxable income is only $200,000. And you already paid taxes on the $200,000 you took as salary. The $800,000, it didn't disappear. It got reinvested into the business, which means it became part of the business's value, which means you got richer. But the government didn't see it as income. No income, no tax. This is legal. This is how business works. But here's where it gets interesting.
Look, this margin is our edge. Let's see that under the glass. Just don't bend the rules. We're optimizing.
Wealthy people hire accountants and lawyers specifically to find the absolute edge of what counts as a business expense. Not illegal expenses, legal ones, but pushed as far as they can go. A CEO buys a private jet. Is that personal? Or is it a business expense because she flies to business meetings? The law says it can be a business expense, so it is. A wealthy investor owns a vacation home. Is that personal? Or is it a business expense because he sometimes holds meetings there? If a lawyer can argue it's a business property, then the interest on the mortgage, the maintenance, the utilities, all of it becomes tax deductible. None of this is fraud. The IRS, the government agency that collects taxes, knows it's happening. They literally allow it. This system is designed to encourage business investment and growth. The unintended consequence is that the wealthiest people, who have the best accountants and lawyers, get to shrink their taxable income in ways that ordinary workers cannot. But this is just the beginning. The second tool is even more powerful. It's called capital gains. Let's go back to your lemonade business. You built it over 10 years. It started as a small stand. Now it's worth $10 million. You sell it to someone else for $10 million. Did you earn $10 million? In one sense, yes. You sold something for $10 million. In another sense, no. You only gained $10 million. The original investment, or the starting point, was zero or close to it. So the gain was $10 million. That gain is called capital gains. And here's where the tax code does something bizarre. If you earn $10 million working a job, you pay regular income tax on it. Call it 40%. You owe $4 million. But if you earn $10 million by selling an asset you own, like a business or stock or real estate, the tax rate is different, much different. In the US, the long-term capital gains rate is usually around 15 to 20% instead of 40. Same 10 million, different tax. You owe 1.5 to 2 million instead of 4 million. That's a difference of $2 to $2.5 million on one transaction. Why does the law do this? The theory is that it encourages investment. If you know that selling an investment will be taxed lightly, you're more likely to invest in the first place. And investments create jobs and growth. That might be true, but it also means that the richest people, the ones with the most investments, pay a lower tax rate than regular workers. By design. A person working a job making $50,000 a year pays about 12% in taxes. An investor making $50,000 a year in capital gains pays about 15%. Close enough, right? But a person making $50 million working a job pays about 40%. An investor making $50 million in capital gains pays about 15%. Suddenly the gap is enormous. And here's the thing, the wealthiest people don't make their money from jobs. They make it from investments, from owning things, from selling things they own. So they automatically hit the lower tax bracket. It's not corruption, it's policy. But the policy has a built-in advantage for people who already have money to invest. Now, combine this with the first tool. A wealthy person builds a business, takes it public, and it grows. They don't take much salary. Instead, they watch the stock price rise. That's capital gains, not income. Meanwhile, they borrow money against the value of their stock. That borrowed money isn't income, so it's not taxed. They use it to buy everything they need. Their net worth grows by billions, but their taxable income stays low. In some years, ultra-wealthy people technically have no taxable income, or even negative income if they claim investment losses. Yet they're getting richer every day. But there's a third layer, and this one is where the system gets truly strange. It's called wealth inheritance, or step-up basis. And it might be the most important loophole nobody talks about.
I've held on to this dream for 30 years. Never let it go.
Let's say you build that $10 million lemonade business. You never sold it. You held it your whole life. And then you die. Your kids inherit it. Now, here's the weird part. When they inherit it, the government legally resets the value. Instead of counting your purchase price from 30 years ago, they count the value the day you died. So if you bought it for $100,000 and it's worth $10 million when you die, your kids inherit it at the $10 million valuation. If they sell it the next week for $10 million, they owe zero capital gains tax. Why? Because their basis in the asset got stepped up to $10 million. There was no gain from their perspective. The $9.9 million gain you made over your lifetime? The government essentially forgave it. In theory, there's an estate tax that's supposed to catch this, but the current law lets you pass almost $13 million to your heirs with zero estate tax. Married couples can pass $26 million. Anything above that gets taxed. But here's the catch. The wealthiest people have lawyers who structure their wealth in trusts, corporations, and entities specifically designed to dodge even the estate tax. The result? Billionaire families can pass billions to their kids with minimal taxation. It's legal, it's sophisticated, and it means wealth doesn't just stay at the top, it gets locked at the top for generations. A regular person's house might get passed down, but there's no wealth-building inheritance mechanism. The wealth inequality compounds. Here's what makes this genuinely complicated. These aren't tricks, they're not crimes, they're features of the law, intentional features. Policymakers design the tax code this way.
Let's design this tax code to boost investment. Agreed, I'll note that. And support entrepreneurship. Perfect, stamping, excellent work.
They wanted to encourage business investment, entrepreneurship, and capital growth. Those are reasonable goals. The problem is that the system works perfectly for rich people and poorly for everyone else. A worker earning a salary has no choice. The taxes come out automatically. But a business owner can reinvest. A stock investor can wait for capital gains. A billionaire can borrow against their assets instead of selling them. Each of these strategies is legal, but not every person has access to them. You need enough wealth to make the strategy worthwhile. You need good accountants and lawyers. You need the ability to invest and hold long term. None of that is available to someone living paycheck to paycheck. So the tax code, unintentionally or not, has become a system that favors those who already have wealth. And the gap between how much rich people pay and how much regular people pay keeps growing. So the answer to the original question is this. Rich people avoid paying taxes legally because the system was built to let them. Not through dishonesty, through the law itself. The uncomfortable math is that the more money you have, the less of a percentage of it you're required to give back. The question isn't whether it's happening, it's happening. The question is, should it be? And that's something we all get to decide, together. If clarity is useful to you, that's what Sam Antman Finance focuses on. No predictions, no panic. Subscribe if you'd like to stick around.